What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Mindful Mashup, sponsored by Mindful Meds, live on Goo TV, streaming live on Twitch and YouTube. Today, we are hanging out with founder and CEO of Mindful Meds, Keegan Downer. We're going to be diving into the Dose 2 documentary. What's up, Keegs?
Hey, brother. Great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Thanks for coming.
That intro is special. Hey, I love the tunes. The graphics really get me going. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, man, we're moving. The boys are doing great on the Goo Balls end, and it's getting better every week.
For sure, that it is.
Yeah, man. So it's been a big week and a half, or 2 weeks, I guess now, for Mindful Meds. We did the Dose 2 premiere, sponsored the Dose 2 premiere here in Vernon last Friday. And for those who don't know about Dose, this was a big documentary in the psychedelic industry where they dove into a woman who was coming off a heroin addiction, diving into iboga and her journey through that, and the substantial impact it had on her and her being able to break that. And then they've done another documentary now, but with mushrooms. So yeah, man, I think how first off takes, how'd it go? How was the evening to you?
Yeah, man. I mean, maybe I'll even just kind of circle it back a little bit. Like you just mentioned, this is the second one of the Dose series. And I went to the original one in Calgary at this like little independent movie theater. And I remember standing in front of the building afterwards and just watching everybody and how excited they were about the documentary. And it was winter time, but there was just like this huge congregation of people standing in front, and just kind of thinking to myself, like, how amazing would it have been to have gotten involved as an organization? And literally, you know, it's amazing sometimes what the universe has in store, because, you know, 6 months ago, a friend of mine introduced me to Nick and Tyler, who are the two producers of this film, and two guys from Vancouver, two young guys. And they asked us to sponsor the event here in Vernon. And it was just like, man, that's like a dream come true. So you and I chatted about it. We jumped on the opportunity, and really had no idea what to expect. Like I had no idea what the turnout was going to be until the week of. I had no idea how many tickets were sold. And man, did the community ever show up for this thing. I mean, we had a minimum of 250 people there. There might have been more. Some people are saying there was more than that. And then, yeah, what was really neat about it, well, we'll talk about the documentary. The documentary knocked my socks off, dude. Yeah. It honestly did. It's, you know, there hasn't been something that I can remember watching. Like, dude, my whole arm is just like static right now. That had kind of moved me in that way, man. Like I am not ashamed to admit, like I was fully crying. But what I loved about it was they had this beautiful way of bringing like a comedic side to it too, like some laughter. And so they really balanced out like the emotions. Like sometimes you're laughing and then next minute you're crying.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is a film that I think can do so much good for the world, man. It's just an absolutely incredible film. And really the synopsis of what this is about is this woman and her family. She's only 55 years old. She's got 4 children, married to a lovely guy named Glenn. He seemed like an awesome dude. And, yeah, she had been battling cancer for years and years, and it kind of went away and then came back. And so this time around, she starts to explore mushrooms with a Canadian company that's doing a ton of good in this space called Therasil. And maybe we'll tag them in the notes so people can check it out.
Yeah. Good idea.
And her journey with mushrooms, and she just and really what she was, of course, you know, she was had this cancer diagnosis, and I could only imagine that along with this diagnosis, you get a lot of fear, right? Because you're going to be crossing over, and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know when it's going to happen. You've got your family and your friends, and you don't want to leave that. And so, it was her journey. One of the things she does is, and we all do when we're kind of going into these macrodosing experiences, is, we set an intention for what we'd like as an outcome for the journey. And her intention was she just really wanted to know that her kids were going to be okay. And what a beautiful intention, right? And so she goes and does her mushroom journey, and all of a sudden she's in this dark place, and she gets connected with her grandmother, and her grandma guides her through this journey. And I don't know, man, it was a profound evening in general. The documentary, for me, really hit me in the heart, and I think it will for everybody, because we're all just at arm's length from this thing, man.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. It's really interesting to know if what the show in all, because they're doing premieres all over North America, Australia, New Zealand, probably Europe as well. We'll check out the site here and go through it. See how the community showed up in each and every one of these cities and towns, because it's showing just how people are really tuning into this and tuning into this medicine and each other too, mainly, right? The support for one another, which is so huge. It's so much bigger than the movie itself, and they're doing such a beautiful job drawing awareness to it, but also the awareness to the medicine, and like taking, unpacking and shedding those layers of what these stigmas that are around it.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. And if you don't mind, like, could I share a little story, or did you want to show the clip beforehand?
No, go for it, man. If you want, here, why don't we pull it up here so everyone knows what we're talking about?
Sure.
So this is the website. I'll throw it in the chat here and in the tag afterwards. But for anyone who doesn't know and wants to check it out, they also have their other first movie up there, so everyone can check that out too. But this is the Dose 2 Trip of a Lifetime. They have their screenings here, showing all over where. So it's, you can see Toronto, LA, Eugene.
If this is my last year or two on Earth, I want to enjoy my life.
Can you hear that, Keeks?
I did hear that, brother. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So that'll work then. But yeah, guys, so if you are in any of these areas, you can sell a lot sold out. But
that's insane. Look at all the sold out. That is incredible.
Isn't that wild? Encore added too. So these ones have already sold out. They've added another showing. So there, people are getting around it, man. In London, so check it out, guys. In Perth, Australia.
Our hometown, it looks like Calgary's got a full week of it there.
Yeah, Melbourne, Oz, you can still get tickets. Coming back to Victoria, BC, Gibbons. Yeah, really cool, man. Really, really cool. And then, dude, maybe I'll just show the clip real quick, and then we can chat, because I know I was actually going to bring that up, and that story, and then we can everyone can get a little idea of what we're talking about here, and we'll dive into it a bit deeper.
Sounds good, man.
I'm just going to pause our beautiful acoustic breeze here and get this baby rolling.
If this is my last year or two on Earth, I want to enjoy my life free of anxiety.
You're going to give someone magic mushrooms to help them with their anxiety. I know how that sounds.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And here I am.
Hello, welcome to the Mushroom Dispenser. You got the Big Macs, the penis envy. I always feel funny talking about the penis envy. You have some psychological. Try the penis envy, that'll really help.
Don't worry, I'm not a regular drug user. I've never done it before. I've never done it since.
I talked to you yesterday, you were normal, and now you're talking about mushrooms being sacred? What happened?
Not that we can promise everybody a cure, but it does offer people an opportunity that otherwise they don't get.
When you get a cancer diagnosis, your life is automatically turned upside down. I've been struggling with whether to have surgery again, or just let life run its course.
The National Cancer Institute has come out with a bold statement 5 or 6 years ago that said cannabis can kill cancer cells in the lab.
You may go into remission, may not, but your challenge is to enjoy the moment and be grateful.
I love you more now than when we first got married even.
We've laughed a lot. We've loved a lot. I wouldn't want to have taken this journey with anyone else.
It's completely different than anything I've ever experienced. Deeper, more meaningful, more life-changing. It was just this deep knowledge that everything is going to be all right.
Yeah, so good, man. Even, that preview too, just bomb.
Yeah. It just hits me in the feels, man. I mean, it's, when this project started, some of the research that I got really excited about before we were, even a company was this research out of Johns Hopkins University. And it was around end of life cancer patient anxiety. And, I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's really just an easy Google away. But I believe it was 84% of participants in this study, double-blind, placebo-based study. Everybody had a cancer diagnosis. 84% of the people, I believe, came out of this saying it was the most meaningful thing that's ever happened in their lives other than having their children. And it seemed to just completely dissipate this anxiety that people had, crossing over. And why it really meant a lot to me was because when I was about 23, so about 15 years ago, my closest cousin of mine had been battling a brain tumor for like 6 or 7 years and gone through everything, man, like all sorts of treatment. Things were looking amazing at times. And then it came back and, the last time around, they had known that, unfortunately it was going to be his last run with the cancer. And one night my phone rang. I was living in Calgary. He was living in Oakville, Ontario. And we had never spent more than 15 minutes on the phone together before. We used to just get together, and when we were together, man, it was like we never missed a beat, that type of relationship. And I remember fielding this call. It was late in Calgary, so it must have been really late where he was in Ontario. And we ended up talking for 2 hours. And on the phone, he went through the McDonald's drive-through. We just didn't want to leave this call. We just didn't want it to end. But on the call, I could feel how scared he was. I could feel how nervous he was about what was next. And I think about that a lot because, it could have been easier for him. And he could have, crossed over without any of these fears, without any of this anxiety. And so it's personal to me, man. This is very personal to me. And actually, I have a tattoo on my chest for Ryan. His favorite place in the world was Costa Rica. I still haven't been yet. But that's actually where we're going for our honeymoon this year.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we finally booked it. We booked some flights. And so, but I got that for him. And I think about him a lot on this project. And certainly was thinking about him on the night of this screening and throughout watching this. And I just kind of feel like everybody's going to have that moment, whether it's them or somebody that they're really close to. And, it's just, I heard something the other day and I don't want to spin this negatively, but 50% of us are going to get this, so when we talk about how important this is, I mean, this is a conversation that just absolutely has to be had. And It seems to me, these sellouts and the conversation. What an important documentary. Nick and Tyler, if you ever see this, I'm so proud of the work that you guys have done. I've reviewed it, and I've sent you my personal message as well. But just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. That's a really special story, and like what it seems the medicine does too, right? Like when we're able to shed the ego, shed the fear, we get to see that there's maybe more to this than meets the eye. We get to see that our family's going to be okay. We're still going to be at some capacity able to know, whatever that is. We don't know, but and being able to gift people with that. I know, like my grandma, she lived a long, beautiful life, but she was going through a lot when it came time to do the assisted passing, and just something like this would have been such a beautiful experience for her.
Yeah.
And there's just countless. Everyone would have a story where it could benefit in some way, right? So it's so important, the work that they're doing, and yeah, guys, like if you ever see this, terrific job, amazing. Just and two guys on the website, if you can follow there, they have on the bottom of the page just anywhere you can donate. I saw they have some cool little gold and silver mushroom necklaces that all go to the cause when you purchase one.
Cool.
Yeah, which is really neat. I didn't see that initially. And then as well, these guys are going for Academy Awards, so just getting that, just like YouTube, all these things, like just getting that review out there is so important for the algorithms and everything else. So if you do get a chance to check it out, even if it's once it's on the interwebs, make sure to review and keep the train rolling, because every little thing helps. Chetty's got a great question here. Is she still with us? I know they mentioned that.
Let's give that an update. So some really amazing news. So at the end of this documentary, the producer said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Rick Simpson cannabis oil?" And for those that don't know, it's really the most potent way of consuming cannabis. I believe they said it was like 1,000 milligrams of THC a day for 60 days straight. And so, it's just an enormous amount, but they kind of followed her journey with that in the end. So to answer the question, her cancer is actually in remission right now, and she's doing fantastically well. She's doing some volunteer work, actually involving mushrooms and helping other people. And also, she never thought she would ever survive long enough to see her first grandchild. And in May, this month, she's expecting her first grandchild. So really kind of positive kind of spin to it too. So she's still with us, and she's thriving right now. Last update I had, which was last week.
Beautiful. We won't get into the nitty gritty of it to prevent the spoilers of the roller coaster that is the movie, because for me too, man, there is that. It's such a beautiful job of laughter. I was in tears several times. It was really cool for me too. It just happened. My parents were in town from Australia that weekend, so they got to see it. They really got to see a deeper outlook to this medicine. And as everyone of that generation starts to come around and see, like that's that same generation, right? And when they really came up through the 70s and that time period when they really had all the FUD, all the media of it, when back then there were so many studies that were, and they dive into that too, of the benefits of this stuff, and it really just got thrown in with the whole drug war campaign. So yeah, man. So I'd love to get in, we got asked, we did a panel afterwards, and we got asked so many beautiful questions. So anyone from the community that's watching, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the beautiful questions and just the momentum it's created within the community. But yeah, one thing we never heard of, what your review, we've dove into it a little bit already, but like, what were some key parts that you really took that are going to be these elements that are really going to spark thoughts for people?
Yeah, my review. Well, first of all, like that evening with the documentary and the panel, we've been at this now for over 3 years, was my favorite evening ever on this project. It was the most meaningful night for me. Personally, I just felt so connected to it and so connected to the community afterwards. It was a really special night, just in general. And I think if you get a chance to see this in one of these independent theaters, jump at it. It's really that special. Just knowing how much support there is with these mushrooms is something that just, is, and also, Brett, I think the other thing is like, just how much more we're going to see mushrooms slide into the mainstream, right? Yeah. We had no idea what to expect when it came to this panel. So to give people an idea, we had Brett up on the mic. We had a retired RCMP officer that had been struggling with PTSD and anger issues. And then we had a therapist that is a master's level therapist that was up on the stage as well. And she's actually working with the medicines at the macrodosing level with patients. And we just had no idea what was going to happen. And essentially we expected, like, in my head, there was going to be like 40 or 50 people that stayed behind. What ended up happening was all 250 people that were there stayed behind for the full hour and asked an abundance of questions. And I guess one of the takeaways is just like, it really shows me that this is just the beginning, because there were so many people in there that were just asking questions, gearing up towards their first, microdose, or gearing up towards their first macrodose. And so it's just the beginning for, this phenomenon that we call the mushroom revolution.
Yeah, 100%. And it shows, like you said, the interest in how this is really tapping into the mainstream. And one thing with it tapping into the mainstream, because it's good and bad, right? You get this abundance of info, but like, it's also like, okay, what do I do with this? Especially in this governmental climate that is so uncertain, like not uncertain, but not really clear. Yeah. Every state in the US is different. Canada's a little bit different, but they're still dragging their feet a little bit. And like, it's really, so people have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of beautiful work being done. So but also we also have a beautiful opportunity here where we are able to access the medicines here in Canada. So, but in that is a lot of questions, and people want to do it safely. And that's a huge proponent, and something we have to be so aware of is the setting, doing it with a therapist or a shaman or a medicine man, or wherever you resonate. What I really liked was they really grasped at the ability to cover all areas. They showed how the medicine helped her, but it was also her perception, how that perception shift really was a huge proponent, because she was, they gave her 4 weeks to live, right? Like, and that perception shift was, she really takes from the mushrooms, from that experience, but that overall took her perception and changed at some level her cellular body to be able to fight off this cancer and live longer. And that was whatever she was working through, but that real saying that these illnesses are attached to emotions. They're attached in some capacity, right? However deep you want to go and unravel it, but it's something that's coming more and more into awareness now, and something I believe this movie is going to really spark for the people that catch on to it. Gabriel Mate spoke to it, and it's huge, man, because you think of that concept of that we've just, we have so much beautiful things in Western medicine, but there's this huge other piece where it's so that time of that preventative, that the mental health, the pieces of, if you were able to unravel some of this earlier, would you even got cancer in the first place? Because cancer, and then she even said it was this horrific gift, because it helped her with seeing these different perspectives, and then she got to elevate her relationship with her mother. And like, I don't want to give too much away, but that to me was a huge piece of what these medicines are showing us. But this, even the birds, even higher bird's eye view of this whole wellness environment. Yeah,
really well said, man. And honestly, I think you could have the whole show sometime just on that.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into that deeper.
It's that goes super deep, right? And something that I'm just starting to fully understand. And so I won't speak to it until I know more, but certainly it's opening my eyes to emotions and the way that they're trapped in our bodies and what ends up happening with certain traumas when we don't attack them. They really turn into some nasty stuff, right? Whether it's suppression, PTSD, anxiety, or even worse. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, man. That's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's one that really resonated with me, as well as the whole experience that you saw in the clip there. They went into Vancouver to a dispensary on what's that street called again?
I'm not sure. Is it on Bernard or
Granville? Or Granville?
They're the only two streets I know in Vancouver, so it's got to be one of them.
Hastings. That's the one.
Hastings. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I know that one too.
Yeah, but just that environment of what it's like for someone coming into that. That guy looks to, I've never been in there, but it looks that he's doing a beautiful job with his whole process of the intake and everything else. And then the clinician, the whole process with the clinician. And that's something I've experienced more on the ceremonial end. You've experienced more, a little bit on the ceremonial end, but then also with the clinician end as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on a journey of my own, just like we all are. And recently I teamed up with a therapist that does a lot of work with PTSD and childhood trauma. And so one of the things I was really excited about with this therapist is that when she kind of says that you're ready mentally for this, she'll do a macrodosing journey with you. And it was a beautiful process. I did about 10 sessions with her in the clinic, just normal kind of therapeutic sessions. She really focuses on like tangible skills that you can take out. So it's not just talk therapy. It's like, let me gift you with as much knowledge that I have. And so some of the stuff that we explored was breath work, this work called heart math, which kind of monitors your heart rate variability. And it's a really interesting practice as well. And yeah, and in the finale, I suppose, I'm still actually doing work with her even afterwards, but was this guided journey. And I think the takeaway was just, how much work was put in, all the preparation and the work was setting the intention and then doing it in an environment that was super safe and really well put together for a mushroom journey. She incorporated a lot of like the spirituality side to it. So tapping into some of the ancient indigenous practices in regards to like opening up the elements and some other grounding techniques. And then, I went and had my journey, and then, her and the other sitter, there was two people that were kind of watching over me. That's kind of when the integration starts. So the whole time they're kind of taking notes. Anything that I say during this trip, they're writing notes and taking notes, and so that, I have a reminder and some references as to like the things that shook out of this. And so, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. This isn't something that we recommend people just to go and grab a bag of mushrooms and start consuming. Although it can be very safe, it can also be somewhat dangerous in the sense that, if you really want this to work from the therapeutic sense, then this medicine is very collaborative. You have to do a whole bunch of work and then take the mushrooms and collaborate with the medicine. So it's not just like eat the mushrooms, have this big experience, and then, oh my God, I'm healed. It's very much not that at all. It's a lot of work leading up and then a lot of work after, right? That integration piece is really one of the most important pieces. So a lot of the shamans consider the actual journey itself only 10% of the overall journey. 90% of it or whatever percent of it comes afterwards as well, Brett. And that's something I feel like you're quite well versed in, is that integration piece. And maybe that's something you want to speak a bit to.
Yeah, well, I think, it's so much, it's that integration and tension coming into it, and then the integration after. You have this experience, but it's like, it can be totally life changing, right? Like, so then you're like, but you fall back in, you go back into your old life. Like, you know, I'm in a very, we're in a very fortunate position where, we're around new people, we're around the industry, it's these changing elements. So like, if you're going back into, I know when I had it when I was in a working in more blue collar industry, it was tough to also go back to certain environments because you're also shifting. Now it's this practice. So it's this starting to implement tools, right? Like the breath work, like the mindfulness practice, like the journaling or whatever it is of tuning into yourself and finding like connecting with nature, doing these things to start following your goals, writing down what you want to achieve, what do you want to manifest in your life, right? Like, and start to chop it away, because this practice is a daily practice, and it's a every minute of every day practice. It's the verbs we speak, it's how we approach certain things. It's surrendering to our present and being present with our moments and enjoying this this beautiful thing that is life. I think we forget to do that a lot of the time, right? Like, so all of it, but it gets to be this beautiful wake up, this beautiful reset, and this tap in. And I think as people start to explore that, we start to provide these tools, and like microdosing's one, breathwork's one, yoga's one, running's one, whatever makes you tick, right? Like, there's all these beautiful ways. So I think as we continue to talk and bring this together, and one thing we're going to work on too is continuing to connect our community, to come in to help people with that connection and speaking. Where can we find practitioners? Where there's this beautiful things coming up every day. So we just keep connecting together and helping each other out and finding that way and reaching out and finding a safe practitioner to go to. And as this evolves, we evolve too, and all work together to get there.
Yeah, well said. And if there's people looking for information about mushrooms, informations about like how to get started, where to get started, we run a live chat on our website 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And Brett and I actually run it Monday through Thursday. And so we're really engaged with the community. We love interacting with the community and being as supportive as we possibly can. So if you ever want to get in touch with one of us, Monday through Thursday, we're available. And, you asked about takeaways, Brett, and maybe we can just leave it off, or maybe leave it off whenever, but I just wanted to get this in before we jumped. So here in Canada, you can get an exemption, a medical exemption, to legally be able to consume these mushrooms. It's called a Section 56 exemption. And the reality is that whole side of the world is moving extremely slowly. And so if you are in this position where you need, you want the reprieve and the benefits of mushrooms, I would just suggest that you don't wait for the paperwork from the Section 56. These medicines are available. They're available safely, as we've spoken about, when consumed the right way. But I wouldn't wait a year or two to hear back from the government to legally take these. I just wanted to mention that because there's this whole congestion happening with Section 56 right now, and people waiting and I'm just hearing all these horror stories. And reach out if you're in that camp, and we can help you as much as we can.
Yeah, and there is the Therapacils, the MAPS, Numinous. I believe we were also really fortunate to have a fellow in the audience who's running a study, and there's some other ways to go about it too. So connect with us. We can connect you to all sorts of different links and abilities and figure it out, because I think this is that time of discovery with everything, and the US is interesting too, right? You're getting more and more of mobility down there. So even if even if your practitioner is over there and you got to make a little trip for it, or whatever resonates with you. But I know there's also a lot of beautiful practitioners here, especially here in British Columbia. And yeah, man, that's something that I would love to do. I know we're working with a beautiful company that's coming up called Merkaba Wellness, and they're going to be doing some of that stuff. And but is also just continue to connect people to these practitioners and the people doing all this beautiful work, because it's so important, and just spreading that awareness.
Yeah. And for doing stuff like this too, Brett, hats off to you for how consistent you've been on the show and bringing, this to the people. Yeah, man, proud of you, buddy. And thanks for letting me be a part of this one.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thanks everyone for tuning in and asking questions. Any final remarks to leave us with? I usually get the guest to leave us with a hitter on the way out.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking me to leave a hitter.
Yeah. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Mushrooms.
Yeah. Here, I'm just gonna leave one final thought that always stays with me. Mushrooms are the very safest of all of the drugs. I hate using the D word, but there's been a lot of studies around this. And so, but the safety profile in mushrooms is absolutely incredible. And so, yeah, I encourage people to do as much research as they possibly can. We have this incredible tool, this microdosing guide, that is available for free. 62 pages long. Our team spent a ton of time on this. Just come onto the website, mindfulmeds.io, and you can sign up for the microdosing guide and start getting educated around it. But I always just, one of the things that always attracted me to mushrooms was the safety profile. And I just wanted to leave, everybody with that. And I just hope everybody has an awesome Friday afternoon and a great weekend ahead. Grateful to be here today.
Boom. Well said, brother. Well said. It's the truth. Coming in hot today. I love it. Yeah, guys, check out mindfulmeds.io. Discount code on the top, GOO15 for 15% off. Only the Goo crew is getting that, so get after it. And thanks for coming today, dude. And everyone have a great weekend. Peace.
See you guys. Thank you.